the stock market, meaning companies' new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania. The no bullshit approach to all financial markets, from Bitcoin to darknet to political betting, and of course, right here where I sit, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. I'm your host, Brian Micon, Bitcoin class of 2011, financial genius, and a poker player. Joining me are my fellow degens, Matt Glantz and Brett Ritchie. Glantz traded options on the Philly Stock Exchange back in the day, and Brett Ritchie is the head of Blitzpick, coming to a blockchain near you soon. This whole thing is put together by Tony, the producer, and this is Market Mania. Tony, we have a hell of a day in the markets today. Lock and load those machines. And Matt Glantz, what the hell is going on in this lull session before the great election?
Huge rebound day today. You know, the market's been down a lot recently, and today the Nasdaq's up over 2%, S&P 1.5%. Funds doing well. We're up 4%, but a little salty because we were up, I think, 8% this morning until Overstock turned around. Overstock earnings came out this morning. Stock was up 10. Now it's down 7. So big turnaround for Overstock. The crypto exchange Overstock. So I don't know what's going on there. You hear anything over there, Brad, about the Overstock?
No, not really. I'm not quite sure how much Robinhood traders are invested in Overstock. I know you've been a pretty big fan of that on this show, so hopefully people listened and didn't listen depending on the time frame. As we'll get to, I think tonight is going to be some pretty big news coming out. A ton of companies are giving earnings, so we'll see what happens.
Biggest earnings night in decades. We'll get into that
story
later.
Today is PA is up for grabs. Brett Ritchie, your home state, back over there.
Yes, sir.
What is going on in the polls? And
Both Matt and my home state, but I come from the hard scrabble western part of the state where there is a lot of Trump support. You see these polls here, all very favorable to Biden. Interestingly enough, if you look over at the betting odds, the market's telling a much different story. There's a lot of money coming in on Trump. He is down to about a plus 160 favorite or so, plus 158 over there on Pinnacle. And as Matt has said before, essentially whoever wins Pennsylvania and Florida wins the election. As we both know, Trump has Florida already locked up. It really comes down to Pennsylvania, where Trump is plus 160. Matt, what are you seeing in Philadelphia right now? What do you think about Trump's chances here in PA?
I mean, the polling hasn't moved much. So, I mean, Biden's still a nice favorite. He's like almost a 2-1 favorite. He was up to, I guess at peak, he was minus 225. So now he's minus 180 in Pennsylvania. It's not that huge of a change. People are getting nervous as we get close to the election because we know from last time the polls have shifted towards Trump as the closer we get to the election.
And Biden's now going to Minnesota, which kind of reminds Hillary's mad dash to Michigan, I believe, in 2016. So, and the riots probably don't help Biden, but again, it's happening on Trump's watch. So we'll see. I like Trump in PA, though. It's looking pretty good for him there.
Fun fact, Brett, 60% of Americans that are going to vote already voted. So if there's a riot tonight, those guys aren't going to be changing their vote, by the way.
That's true.
All right. So now how is this shaping up for the general election betting? We're going to have to be, watching this for the next, holy shit, only another 5 days of this, boys.
So Josh Jordan put it here in a tweet, which I've been trying to explain to Brett for quite a while. This is not 2016. If you look at 2016 on this tweet, 5 days before the election, you see how much the poll shifted from 2 weeks ago, where Clinton was just 1-2 point favorite. Now Biden's a 7.5 point favorite, still the same he was 2 weeks ago. So, it's not like within the margin of error. It's not within the margin of the silent majority. It's a done deal. If these polls don't move before election day, it's a done deal.
Brett Ritchie,
we'll see.
You're the proud boy of the group here. What do you have to say with that?
I think that the polls are clearly flawed. Matt is essentially using batting average or some other outdated stat. I'm out here using WOBA, XFIP, all these advanced stats, and those advanced stats of essentially just reading the tea leaves tell me Trump's going to win Pennsylvania. I'm not too worried about where the polls have it. I'm worried about who's going to actually show up and vote, and they're going to vote Trump.
Spoken like a Trump better.
That's what I feel like when Brett's talking about the election.
All right, so we will have a special news item for you coming soon about this whole election betting, and you will have to keep it locked here to Market Mania Show on Twitter and to /Market Mania on the YouTube. All right, is that it for election betting? Any final thoughts here, or we can go on, right?
I think
Keep it moving.
Yeah, we can go.
Tony, scroll down there a little bit on that page, and you could see the numbers of the polls. If you scroll down right there on the right, you see it. It's all +6, +8. It's all that's the Pennsylvania polls coming in the last few days. So
what, Brett? So what do you have when you look at that? Did you just say Nate Silver is just a basic bitch, or how do you process that in your head? That screen, that 538 screen.
I just don't. I mean, obviously, the betting market more agrees with me. And if it was such a lock, I mean, you can basically bet infinite on this election.
Brett's impression of the betting market agrees with him is Biden's only a 175 or 180 favorite.
The way you're talking, this is like a -1,000. This is a slam dunk. So I don't
know. The 1 point glance made to me while we were playing Fortnite the other day was that, well, Trump could also cheat. So that's in the betting odds.
Okay, one of the Democrats are way likelier to cheat than Trump, by the way.
I mean, like a good next level, like Supreme Court, something executive order kind of cheat. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Give me a 30-second explanation of how Trump is a favorite in this election right now. Hold on, let me cue the music for you.
So
the show.
I can't give this explanation with this news. You know what? I'm keeping my alpha to myself for this episode. How about that? I can use trading lingo too.
Moving along to something we can all hate together is WeWork is profitable. Maybe this has been, if you guys remember, this was the giant clusterfuck SoftBank almost IPO, not really, didn't get there. Guy wanted to live the gilded life in New York with his 400 million or whatever. Brett Ritchie, what the hell's going on now with WeWork?
So they're not profitable. The CEO says they're on track for profitability in 2021, which after the pandemic too, I would imagine WeWork has to get hit fairly hard by all these closures. I don't buy it at all. And their IPO might have been the most disastrous roadshow in history. Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's certainly the most disastrous one I've ever seen. I know there are still some assets there, and the product makes sense. Does it make sense as a $20 billion company or whatever? Probably not, but it makes some sense. I'm not buying it. This is a prove it to me type of situation for me. I'm definitely not lining up to buy their stock. And if they're going to be profitable, I'm not buying it until I see it. Matt, what do you think?
You know what? This is just the same as a crypto. I don't get this company. I think that the guys running it, or the original guy, was so creepy. I never really followed it, never traded it, so it's really not for me.
So fucking creepy. And I mean, I plan to, what does this guy say? The CEO just plan to be profitable. I plan to acquire 3 or 4 other wives, and they'll all live in the same house and like each other and be beautiful supermodels. But the best laid plans, I mean, it just doesn't. It's COVID. Everyone's working from home now. Like everything's Zoom, remote bullshit. I mean, come on. It seems like, wasn't this the nail in the coffin? I don't know. Speaking
of nail in the coffin, the guy that started this WeWork, he looks like he could be Dracula in any big budget movie.
By the way, he makes whatever the Trevor Milton look like a middle school kid or something with what Adam Newman got out of this thing.
I watched probably a couple too many of those vampire movies that came out 10 years ago. What was it? The Twilight series? Alrighty then. Moving along to real companies actually listed on the stock market and trading shares. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Glantz, this is your at least like the 1,500 horse event of your World Series, in the stock game. I mean, this is a big night.
Huge night. Big five tonight. Well, the big five tonight anyway. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Twitter, all coming out with earnings tonight. Volatility exploded in the options in all these issues. There's a lot of action going on. People are taking bets. I mean, everybody just thinks they're all going to produce great earnings, and everyone's buying calls. There's some put protection going on, but for me, I'm the only one I'm really long. Or I'm long Amazon and Twitter going out tonight of these two, and the other ones.
Quick tip to you, Robinhood kiddies really looking to crank up the gamble. TQQQ and SQQQ, you can get some leveraged action on the top 100 tech stocks, and that is a shenanigans derivative. You can see the smile on Matt Glance's face under that beautiful hat that I love, and it's just something to check out and click in. This is going to be more volatile, far more, I think 3x more volatile than the QQQ ticker that everybody knows and loves and puts in their long-term bag. And so just SQQQ if you want it to go down, TQQQ if you think it's going to go up, and get your extra gamble on. Brett Ritchie, Monster Earnings Night. What are you clicking? Are you clicking in anything on the old Robinhood?
That SQQ sounds kind of good to me. David Einhorn, who hasn't necessarily had the greatest track record in recent years, he says tech stocks are this just massive bubble. He said that pretty recently, which he's kind of been banging that drum for a while. But now he's like, this is really the time that it's just this massive bubble. So SQQ is a good way to short the NASDAQ top 100 at sort of leverage. That sounds good to me. The only other thing I'll say is on the very first episode of Market Mania, I touted Facebook long. I would just like to bang my own drum on that, as Facebook's up, I think, 8% today, 6 or 8%, heading into what's expected to be good earnings for them also.
And one little programmer note on the TQQs and the SQQs, those decay over time. There's a big premium on that. You do get rocked. All right. You do lose a little value to get that extra leverage. And you better get on Investopedia to learn exactly how.
You don't want to own any kind of triple leverage ETFs for a long period of time. You'll get destroyed.
So you trade them like
or short, no good.
Day to day if you're going to use them, Matt?
Intraday, I wouldn't hold them overnight. It's just a bad policy. And
you can always, the filthy company Drexelion, I don't know if I'm saying it right. They produce a lot of those 3X ETFs. Totally filthy.
Just read up on it. If you're thinking about, or if you have been trading triple leverage ETFs, just read up on it. Read up on the decay you get each day. It's just a simple math thing where if the stock's up, the index is up 10% today, down 10% tomorrow, you're going to lose money overall, which you shouldn't.
And just like your man TVIX that unfortunately got delisted. I know I can't do it. Okay. All right. Anyway, moving along, and you're going to watch. What are the tickers, Matt? What are the big? We already ran them down. Facebook, it's Google, Facebook,
Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and which one do we leave out?
Microsoft.
No, Microsoft
reported already.
Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter,
Apple.
Yeah. Apple.
Markets will move tomorrow. Don't you worry. And those individual stocks are going to be in motion tomorrow. So we'll have to check in on Wall Street bets and see who hits the correct version on all of those.
Yep.
With the options plays. All right. Moving along. Bitcoin, you can see it. Roller coaster week so far, 13.7, then dumped $700 to 13K or even lower. Now back up, what is it, $400 today or so in the last, I don't know what that chart even tracking, last 24 or so. So pump back to 13.6. A lot of people have been talking about MicroStrategy, one of the two companies that have sailed it in from a treasury management standpoint. And then this is the CEO, Michael Saylors, CEO of MicroStrategy. He said, some are asking how much Bitcoin I own. I personally hodl 17,732 Bitcoin, and there's his cost basis, just under 10K. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a Chad move to sail in 170 million into Bitcoin and then just fucking holding it. He's probably getting hit up by a lot of those girls from Seeking Arrangements and other such programs like that because holy shit, Brett Ritchie. That's a stash. You think he's got it all in one place? Is that all on the ledger there? You got a cold card?
I'm sure he's probably protected it in an appropriate fashion. How much money does this guy have? Not that I've heard of every billionaire out there, but yeah, I've never heard of him. I never even heard of MicroStrategy, I don't think, before they bought a bunch of Bitcoin. I thought it was sort of a desperation move for the company. Obviously, this guy believes in it too. I mean, if I had 170 million, I can think of a lot worse things to do with it than fire it into Bitcoin. So
I can't think of one worse thing to do with it than put it on Twitter. Because I mean,
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Kidnapping candidates, you makes you a target. I mean, I don't understand that. That seems stupid.
I agree with that, Matt. When the whole crypto community saw this, you're like, whoa. And then like a lot of people are just like, hey, if you own Bitcoin, don't tell a lot of people, or just, tell your significant other.
Yeah. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. So you got to keep it on the low.
So we'll be tracking Michael Saylors, that percentage of his net worth, because how could you not, when a guy claims it, very few people have claimed to own that much Bitcoin, like publicly like this. So there is one to watch. Matt brought up a good point. I hope nothing bad happens to that guy. Moving along, Tony the producer. Now, I know you keep an eye on some of the more out there and more globally affected stories going on in the markets. What is going on, Tony the producer, with this? This is batshit. Don't have audio.
We don't have audio for Tony.
But I think we do. I think he does. Do we not? I think he does.
Well, no audio, Tony, but we will hopefully get it fixed.
We'll get that story out tomorrow.
Okay. I think that is, I don't know if Tony can hear us too, but this
is actually good.
He can hear us.
Tell us. Okay. All right. Tony, sorry, we can't hear you, but we will. I had a feeling that
I'll just say this Bay Systems. I kind of like that. It seems that you should throw some emojis in there, like, hey, Bay. Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely. And it actually works along with it, because they were like, the little, the significant other of like an airplane. We'll have Tony tell us tomorrow. And Tony, if you are up there, if you're locked and loaded still with us, go ahead and fire up that machine to the Market Mania pick of the day mode. Click whatever buttons there. I imagine it's big and red.
Everybody stack, I'm stacking to the top.
And everybody knows, do your own research added to the hat. That's right. I can hack shit. Safety glasses are on. This is the Not Investment Advice, sponsored by BlitzPick, Market Mania pick of the day. Matt Glantz, we don't waste people's time. We just give them the pick of the day.
Tough choice with earnings coming out tonight between Twitter and Amazon. I'm going to go with Twitter again, because they're just lights out buying calls in this thing since it's been like $43 a share in the last 3 weeks. So I think they just know that earnings going to be crushing. So they might move this stock. It's one of the few stocks that never had that parabolic move like all the other big tech stocks. So $52 a share at Twitter.
Looking for a repricing on Twitter there. Brett Ritchie, what do you got on the October 29th pick of the day?
I'm buying Trump in Pennsylvania plus 158 over on Pinnacle. I believe in the tea leaves. I believe in my secret alpha sauce that lets me believe Trump is a favorite to win this election.
You are a true believer, Brett.
Trump in PA, my home state. Let's get it.
He's a huge alpha, ladies and gentlemen, going against the better judgment, but firing it in on the old Trumper. My pick of the day, can't pull it up. I believe I did throw one out there on the old sheet. Let's see what comes up on the screen for my pick of the day. Don't recall, but it's going to be good.
Amazon.
Amazon, pick of the day. You got to own Amazon.
For the earnings tonight. I mean, every other online shopping company just crushed earnings.
So, really compelling pitch there, Mike Hahn.
Good
out here in the islands, this is actually real talk. When the delivery guy gets off the airplane and you see the back of his truck, it is like 90% Amazon boxes. That's like what people ship here. So, use that for what it may. I've been an Amazon shareholder for a hot minute here. They eat businesses. That's all they do. They just eat up businesses, and Bezos just shits out $100 billion. That's what he does. And they never pay a dividend. But who cares? It's growth forever. All right. Everybody is fired up for the election. That's it. That's what's going on. If anybody is out there with a pulse on any social media, if you're out there on the streets of Philly, if you're going to Walmart in Philadelphia, and then it's getting looted, you got to go to a different one. The election is coming soon. And everybody knows the batshit insanity that brings. We're going to be locked and loaded here on Market Mania for you. And I like to think of Jay-Z's words. Very few times do I repeat a lyric on Market Mania, but some are so important, it's good to do every 6 months or so to people remember. As Jay-Z said, point out the bounce and show you how to get this dough in large amounts till it's hard to count. Point out the bounce. I turn an 8 to an ounce to a whole key to the ROC. Like and subscribe Market Mania on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at Market Mania Show. We'll see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl.
Switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury of how we're turning, where I would turn it. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now, how about tonight? My interview's tight.